All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas, and I got the elder Yatazak here from GMS Dallas as well. And today we're going to be continuing the series, the book of Second Esdras. Today we're on chapter 6. And basically, when you read Second Ezra chapter 6, which is one of the longer ones, it's pretty much straight prophecy, but it's a continuation of the end of chapter 5. Basically, Ezra was told to fast, 7 days, right? In verse 13, right? Second Ezra 5 and 13, he was told to fast 7 days, right? To hear, great things. And then, basically he did that. And after he did that, he started to converse again with the angel, right? And get understanding. We read it, we saw at the end of chapter 5, he was starting to, the certain things were starting to click, that everything has to happen through a dispensation of time, and nothing can be rushed or sped up or slowed down. It's all preset, right? And so at the end of chapter 5, he asked, um, right, if he could show, as it says here in verse 56, then said I, Lord, I beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom thou visitest thy creature. Meaning Ezra wanted to know who or what it was that was going to basically bring the destruction of this world and and bring the new world to come. Okay. And so um, this is the answer here in verse 1 in second Ezra chapter 6. So we're going to get into it without further ado. Okay. Verse second Ezra 6:1 says, and he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightning, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure, then did I consider these things. Okay, what are these things? It was how the salvation ultimately of Israel was going to be brought in. Okay, how the Lord was going to visit the creature that he was planning to make, because we all know, let's get the precept here in Ephesians chapter 1. Okay, all right, that we are predestined. Okay, this is Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 5. You can start up in verse 4, but I'll get straight to the point. It says, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Mashiach Yahushai to himself, according to the pleasure of his good will. So everything is according to the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and he plans it all out. He planned it all out before the undertaking commenced.
Let's
Okay,
pull that word for predestination,
Con,
and then we also gonna get that word for adoption. You know what I'm
Con,
saying? Because people don't understand. People don't understand the Bible in its totality. You see, to eat the whole roll means that you have an understanding of what took place, what it's talking about, what's coming in the future, all these different things. You see, when you get into this chapter, it's it's linking up with Proverbs 8. See, the Lord pretty much put together. a movie. Just like you got Ridley Scott or Steven Spielberg or whoever. It starts with an idea. And then they put this movie together. They put together the plot. They put together the characters. They put together the villain. They put together the hero. They put all these things together. And it's all based on what they want to do. You see? Well, to prove that the Lord is making a movie, he's the one that created these movie makers. You see? And you see how the majority of these movies all come from the scriptures? You see? It's because the Lord has poured his spirit on them to give us a visual. You see?
Mhm.
We understand what the scriptures go. We understand the beginning. You see? We understand that before all this happened, the Lord already had it figured out what he wanted to do. You got it.
Fine. That word for predestinated is G4309. It says prorizo, predetermined, to decide beforehand. Okay, it says here in the New Testament of the Most High decreeing from eternity to foreordain or to appoint beforehand.
Right. So based on this definition, that eliminates free will.
Con.
Man's goings of the Lord, his thoughts are not our thoughts, his ways are not our ways. When you hear that, all these precepts start to come to mind. You see? It can't nobody do nothing about what the Lord already predetermined. When you get into that word elect, it goes into those that the Lord chose. He chose certain persons that were going to receive salvation through the grace of Yahushua and the sacrifice that he made. You see?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand that, then the Lord ain't dealing with you, man. Straight up. Because it says it right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's proof that you don't got free will, because the Lord will stop you right before the definition that you need to see. You got it.
Yep. Okay. Um, let's see here. That's pretty much everything on there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So so let's go back here. The other word was
Adoption.
adoption. Yep. Con. All right, that word adoption, Sean 6, it says huiothesia. Yeah, I believe that's it. Huiothesia. Now it says adoption as sons, okay? That relationship which the Most High was pleased to establish between himself and the Israelites in preference to all other nations.
You see that? But people will ignore that. You know what I'm saying? And just because you ignore it don't mean it ain't true. Go ahead.
God, it says also the nature and condition of the true disciple.
The true disciples. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Not you fringe frauds. No, 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 no. The ones that you got, the true disciples, the ones that's willing to die for this thing, the one that's
Mhm.
not willing to change these things up. You see, you got guys that say that they disciples of the Lord, but they don't fit the criteria.
Right.
You know, you want to say, oh, at the beginning of the video, they'll say the Lord's name. At the end of the video, they'll say the Lord's name, but everything in between is all about them. You seeing that? You know what I'm saying? That's why the prophecy says when the Lord is going to tell certain people, "No, I never knew you. No, you wasn't about this truth."
Yep.
When you get a thorough understanding of what's actually going on, you see why if people are crashing out the way they crashing out. You got it.
Kind of. It says the nature and condition of the true disciples in Mashiach, who by receiving the Spirit of the Most High into their souls become the sons of the Most High.
You see, and I'll say, and though I will say the spirit that think about Ezekiel in the dry bones. You know what I'm saying? Those that the Lord woke up and put His Spirit on, they now possess this prophetic warlike energy that's
Mm-hmm.
shaking up the planet. You know, you got
Mm-hmm.
all these people you got all these people talking about they too rough. I agree with what they said, but I don't like the way they said it. Well, if you don't like the way we said it, then you don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? Should I whisper to you that the destruction is coming? Right? Did not the Lord say, lift up thy voice like a trumpet? Right? Whether they hear or forbear, let them know. He's not trying to sugarcoat nothing for y'all, man. No, the Lord said it's blood on our hands if we don't deliver the correct message. You think we scared of you? You think we scared of you? Or you think we scared of the Lord? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, man. That's why y'all people don't know shit, because you don't fear the Lord. You got it.
Con. And the last definition says the blessed state looked for in the future life after the visible return of Mashiach. Um, but I mean, really, I mean, if you adopted, the second definition hits it, hits it right on the money. All right. Because when you receive the spirit of Yahweh, the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai are those who are predestined, are the sons of God, the Israelites. All right. Starting with the elect. Okay. And it says figuratively, believers in Yahweh Shai. Okay. Because that's really what a Christian is, a believer in the anointed, a true, like I said here, true disciples of Yahweh Shai. All right, not this modern day plantation Christianity. All right. A true believer in Yahweh Shai is going to receive sonship in respect to the Most High, meaning you're going to be like, okay, like, all right, well, you down with my son? Okay, Con. You know how like you may have had a friend, in the world when you was a kid. You know what I'm saying? When you was a kid and you might have a friend in the world, you know what I'm saying? And you might kind of know his parents because it's like, all right, like, you with him, that's your dog, that's your dude, you know what I'm saying? That's your homie. And you kind of got that secondary son status, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You can spend the night, whatever, eat dinner or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You
Yep.
know, you know what I mean? So, but that's how it is, for us. Like we trying to get in the house, you know what I'm saying? Yahweh Shai, he's the son, he's the only begotten son, and we trying to get in, we trying to get a part of that blessing. We're trying to get a part of that house. Okay. So going back here, all right, to Second Ezra 6:1. Okay, we read through verses 1 all the way down through verse 6, right? So I'll read verse 6 again. It says, "Then did I consider these things," right? Before all of these things were set up, you could say gave the angel gave a quick overview of the creation and what happened before man started walking on the earth, right? And it says, "Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other."
Right. Let you know that the Lord is the eye and the thought. You see,
Uh,
the Yahweh set up Yahweh Shai to be the beginning and the end of this portion of the creation. You know what I'm saying? It was gonna be a flood. It was gonna be fire, all for this portion of the creation. You see, and then that was gonna kickstart forever, pretty much. Because it tell you in Colossians, there wasn't nothing made without Yahweh Shai, right? And whose orders was it for Yahweh Shai to make everything? Yahweh. All right, you got it.
Yep. This is real quick precept in Hebrews 12. Okay, straight to the point. Hebrews 12 and 2. It says, "Looking unto Yahweh Shai, the author and finisher of our faith." Okay. It says, "Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of the Most High." Okay, so Yahweh Shai is the author. He started it. Okay, and the finisher. He's going to finish it. The finisher of our faith. He's also what does it say in Revelation, the Alpha and the Omega. Right. I'll get that one
So
as well.
eventually, we're gonna be face to face with our faith. All the prophecies that we've been prophesying for the years that we've been prophesying them, you're not gonna have to prophesy about them no more once they hear. You know what I'm saying? We've been prophesying Jacob's trouble for a while. It's here. We've been prophesying the MOTB for a while. It's here. We've been prophesying prophesying World War III for a while. It's here. You see? So when these things come to pass, we're not gonna be surprised. You know what I'm saying? And then once we get to what we've been prophesying about, our faith in that is done. You see, we got faith that the Lord is gonna come deliver us out of all that trouble I just ran down. You see? So when the Lord pull up and get to destroying people and beaming up the elect and all those different things, we're not gonna have faith in the Lord delivering us no more because He's done it already. Because He's done it at that point. You got it.
Right. Kind. It says in verse Revelation 21:6, right? It says, and he said unto me, it is done. I am the Alpha and Omega, which Alpha in really the I and the Tha, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He, I is the first letter of the alphabet in Hebrew, Tha is the last, okay? But in Greek, Alpha is the first letter and Omega is the last letter, but it represents the same thing, like how we say A through Z, the first
Mm-hmm.
and through the last, right? Yahweh Shai is the beginning and the end. Okay, that says that's what it says, the beginning and the end. And I will give unto him that is, and this should be in the red letter. I don't know why the settings always like that. It says, and I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. Okay, so ultimately we're gonna in the kingdom, if we're uh, in the kingdom, man, we're gonna have all type of knowledge and wisdom, okay, and it's gonna be unlimited, okay. But it talks about second death coming to those that basically are unbelievers, right? So let's go back here, Second Esdras 6, and I'm sorry, yeah, chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Right? Because remember, Ezra was asking, he asked about certain things, and the angel of the Lord told him that there's gonna be an end time that's gonna come, right? there's gonna be an end time that's gonna come and basically bring in and usher in that new age, right? We read about that in chapter 4. Okay. Um, the evil seed being sown in the heart of Adam, and in that time of threshing coming later on afterwards, right? So Ezra was like trying to figure out, okay, uh, how are we gonna know when we in the last times, when we're in the transition time, right? It says, and this is the answer in verse 8. It says, and he said unto me, for Abraham unto Isaac. And this is why we've written the scripture out so much now, because we are in that transition time now. Because these, now this is a question that's being asked more frequently now, because people in their spirit, certain people, in their spirit, they can even just feel like, damn, like I feel like we're in, the end times. Like it's only gonna that feeling is only gonna increase amongst the population to the point where people are gonna have to just try their best to ignore it, right? But it says in verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, right? Because you had Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob, right? Isaac begat Jacob and Esau, right? And we know that story, Genesis 25, okay, about how they received prophecy, two nations being in the womb, okay, basically, fight each other, right? So when they came out, right, when Jacob and Esau were born of Isaac, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. That's how he got his name, Yaquab, okay, supplanter, because Esau came out first, of course, um, but Jacob, was literally when he came out, he was holding on to Esau's heel in the
But it was
womb.
actually it was predetermined. You
Hmm.
see, it said before Jacob or Esau had done anything, it was already set that the blessing was going to go to Jacob. You see, even in the Apocrypha, I think it's in one of these Esdras books where it mentioned that the blessing was going to fall on Jacob. You see, that we already
Hmm.
talked about predestination and everything being predetermined. You see, that's why Paul, when he was breaking it down, he was like, before Jacob was, because people like to say Jacob was a thief. You know what I'm saying? Jacob was a thief. He did this. He was a supplanter. He supplanted that nigga. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But the Lord had it set up in the spirit before everything played out. So when Paul said, uh, 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 what he said in Romans 9, it wasn't no way that either one of them could get around it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Also, too, Esau wasn't just this, this poor random baby that got, finessed. He wasn't innocent, man. Okay, he was a demon, you know. But I'm gonna actually get this real quick in Genesis 25, just for edification, because this is making reference to this verse here in Second Ezra 6, right? This is this is Genesis 25 and 24. It says, "And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red, okay, uh, all over like a hairy garment." Okay. All right. And I'm going to foreshadow this
I'm gonna
picture
say,
here.
pull that word after you do that. Pull that word for red and see what come up.
Con. Well, because we got this, we're going to bring this out here later on in the lesson, but this picture of this little baby here got me think like, what I'm saying? It made me think
Mm-hmm.
about this picture of this, this baby right here. Because you got the white, right? You got the white diaper, you got the white blanket, you know what I'm saying? And this one, it's just resting right now. It's crying. It ain't crying, and all flustered right now. They get even redder than this. But you can see, it was a red baby, you know what I mean, coming out at the time was like, hold on, what the hell? Right?
Right.
And so going back to that, right? It says the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Okay, now again, they would call their names based off of, like particular things, how they were born or whatever the case is, right? So this here, this word for red, okay, is Adam Naya, which I believe is the correct, word for because this word here, Esau basically tries to make it look like Adam is the word for red, but it's really Adawam. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they took out, let me actually look at the text itself. This is on the fly. Okay, it does say here, Adam, no, Adam wa naya. So I'm not sure as to this wa here, in between the ma and the na, but we're just gonna go with what they got on the definition. You can see here variant spellings. You have Adam Naya, and then you have Adam Adam Wanaya. I'm thinking that it could be Adawam as well, but we're just gonna go off what we got right here as far as the definition, which really isn't much. It just says red or ruddy. Um, okay,
Oh
yeah.
no,
See here,
yeah.
fully see that because Esau's a demon. Basically, he tries his best to hide who he is, really, right? He tries his best to hide who he is and hide certain
Yeah.
clues,
And
but it says
ruddy and red ain't the same thing.
that's correct.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? You
right.
look up, you look up ruddy animals, or if you look up ruddy, that's what I'm saying. I'm ruddy based off skin
Hmm.
color. You know what I'm saying? got a red type of hue in dark skin. You
Right.
see, so ruddy animal versus a ruddy person. Um, yeah, or say if somebody's red, they look like Esau. If somebody's ruddy, they look.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna get into this Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, but you can see here, even on the like definition here that they have, okay, they try to give a abbreviated version of the word, but really this is the real word. That's why I didn't really. This is the real word. Da ma wa na ya. So it'd be Adam wa na ya. Okay. Um, Now it says really this definition reddish is wrong. It's really red.
Right
Ruddy shouldn't even be in this definition. It should be
at
straightforward and
all.
just say red.
That's
You
what I'm saying.
know.
Type. I was saying if you type in ruddy animals, ain't nothing red gonna show up. It's gonna all
Right.
be brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are no red animals. Like if you look up
Mm-mm.
like ruddy dog, right? This is the pictures that show up. You know what I mean? Brown. Okay. So Esau trying to mix that in. He trying to mix in his origins with stuff that doesn't pertain to him because he's truly red. Okay, he's the lack of pigmentation. Another one, Hebrew Chaldee lexicon here, it has the correct spelling at the first. It says Adam Wanaya. So this is what they really should have put first instead of this confusing, probably not even a real word, but um, it says red. It doesn't say ruddy. It just says straightforward. That's why I like the Chaldee lexicon sometimes because it's old school.
Mm-hmm.
Red, okay. And then it's trying to get, but then it's trying to whitewash it and say red haired and nah, red, straightforward. Use of Esau, you know, and that's straight to the point. Even this quote of 1 Samuel 16, where they said ready, David was ready. That shouldn't be here either. That's
Mm-hmm.
wrong as well. But you brothers get the point, right? So he was red all over like a hairy garment, right? And then verse 26 is the point, right? It says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob or Yaiquab. Okay, now just for edification, the word Yaiquab, okay, yeah, here we go. Why, bro? Why? Just give me what I want. Here we go. Yai Yaiquaba. Yaiquab. Okay. It says it's not heel holder, it's supplanter. Okay. Supplanter. That's the word. Okay, supplanter. Now, going back to second Esdras, right? It made that reference, okay, about how in verse 9, or I'm sorry, verse 8, right? It says from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau are born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Okay. For Esau is the end of the world. Okay. Because if we're looking at it from a timeline perspective, that which comes out first, that which happens first, that ends up being in the past. And then the thing that comes last ends up being in the future. So where we're at right now is basically we're at the heel of Esau and the hand. We're seeing the hand, of Jacob grabbing onto that heel. Okay, that's why it says Jacob is the beginning of the world that come. When it says it's talking about the world or the age that follows after the world or the age of Esau. You see, so um, it says the hand of man is betwixt means between. So it says the hand of man is between the heel and the hand. Other question, Esdras, ask thou not. Okay, because this is the main prophecy. We know when this devil goes down, okay, the righteous kingdom is going to be set up. Okay, so this is, a major important. That's why we bring it out all the time. Okay, this devil going down. All right, and um, Israel being raised up. Right. Um, so it says in verse 11, and I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens. Okay, whereof thou showest me part the last night. So when you go, remember we were in what was that, Wisdom of Solomon? I'm sorry, Second Ezra chapter 2, where it talked about the crowns and everything. Or was that chapter 3? Let me see. I think it's no, yeah, the end of chapter 2, right? Where it talks about in verse 42, just to refresh, uh and I, Ezra, saw upon the Mount Sion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So Ezra was remembering these things that he saw last week, and what the angel said to him when he asked who these people were. These are those that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal. So he was like, "Hey, all right, can you show me a little bit more about what you showed me, in chapter 2?" Right? I mean, it wasn't like that a chapter back then, but you know what I mean, making
Mhm.
reference to what he saw, right? And it says, so he answered and said unto me, stand up. And also, in previous other visions he received, right? So it says, verse 13, so he answered and said unto me, stand up upon thy feet and hear a mighty sounding voice. So now is another vision that's about to come on now. Okay. So it's transitioning from a direct conversation, to now Ezra is about to enter in another state of awareness, to where he's about to be able to see and hear things that you know ain't actually going on in the physical. So he's gonna go into vision, right? So it says in verse 14, and it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. Uh, he's telling them, like, look, it's gonna feel like an earthquake gonna happen. You know what I mean? You're gonna hear real loud stuff, but you just be calm and take it in, right? It says, and therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end. Okay, what's the speak? What is the speaker? He's going to hear the voice, okay, of prophecy, man. Okay, it says, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. Okay, even the earth itself knows that it's going to be moved around again, just like how during the first death, the flood, it was the earth was moved around. Okay, and it was great uh you know commotion. Let me see something real quick here. Let me get this in a quick precept. I mean, it's in the next chapter, but I'm gonna get it anyway. All right, this is Second Ezra 7 and 43, right? It says I'll start verse 42. He answered me and said, this present life is not the end where much glory doeth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time. Okay, the day of doom shall be the end of this time. This kind of pursuing to back in verse 9, second Ezra 6 and 9. It says, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. Okay. So that day of doom is going to bring in a lot of turmoil. Okay. And, things, the foundation of things is going to be shaken up. Right. So I just want to get that real quick. Let's go back here. And you know what? Also, I'm going to hold on deck. I'm going to hold Luke while we go into this. Luke 22. Let me see here. It might be 21. Yeah, Luke 21. All right, I'm gonna hold that right there. All right, this is continuing on here. Second Ezra 6 and and verse 14. It says, and it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. Okay, meaning the earth understands the word of the Lord is going out too. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. Okay, so all creation knows like what's to come. So even hearing of, certain prophecies, you know what I mean, it can cause commotion, okay, in the earth, because this is the power of Yahweh Shem Yahshua working here.
And
All
so
right.
look at the look at the three main prophecies. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Jacob's trouble, the M to the O to the T to the B, and then the destruction. You see, the prophets know, the animals know, the earth know. You know what I'm saying? The Lord's energy is completely taking over this place, man. You got it.
That's right. Yep. Isaiah 34, can go into this as well, right? Let's see here. All right. This is Second Ezra 6 and 17. It says, and it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. Where is another instance that phrase comes up? The sound of many waters. I always like to
Revelation.
think, kind of exactly. That's right. That's what I was gonna go pull up, because I like to think about a waterfall. Um, how loud a waterfall. If you actually stand next to or come near a waterfall, right? It's super loud. Okay. It says here in Revelation 1 and 15, we're just talking about, talking about Yahweh Shai, Revelation 1 and 12 through 15. It says, and his feet like unto fine brass. It's talking about Yahweh Shai, as if they had burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Okay. So he had a very, very um, a voice that commands, respect. Okay, what they say, it carries. His voice carries, right? So it's that same authoritative voice that says, verse 18. Excuse me. And it said, "Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth." Okay, so we're hearing like a narrative. Ezra is hearing like a narrative of basically the voice of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, speaking about what's about to happen on the earth, and as it's saying, as he's speaking, everything's shaking, you know, so it's like an intense feeling. Like a very like austere aura that Ezra's feeling right now as he's hearing these words that we're reading, right? And it says, and will begin to make inquisition of them. Okay, the what they have been, excuse me, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness. And when the affliction of Zion be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished. Yeah, because right now, like, okay, scriptures that we get all the time, but Revelation 18, okay, Revelation 18, Isaiah 34.
This will let you. This will let you know why Esau was snatching pages out the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Between the slave Bible that he actually gave Jake and everything that he took out. That's what I'm saying. Come on, man. All this history. I was like, this chapter is going into the history of Jacob and Esau, the present time of Jacob and Esau, and the future of Jacob and Esau. All in the same chapter.
Con. That's right. Uh, I want to get this one here, Revelation 18 and Revelation 18 and verse 4. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, because the Lord, if he didn't deliver us physically from Babylon the Great, if he didn't deliver the elect from Babylon the Great, we we would literally, our flesh wouldn't be spared. Like if the ICBM missile come down, right, our flesh ain't gonna be able to withstand that. Okay, so we got to be delivered. All right, the Lord's, sheep are
which
going to be
is
delivered from that.
which is salvation,
That's
right?
right.
Safety. When you look into the word salvation, safety is in there. Being
That's right.
rescued from impending danger, right? Being safe. The Lord making
Mhm.
you safe. Okay. The Lord ain't gonna make the heathen safe. Go ahead.
That's right. It says, but here's the point in verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hath remembered her iniquities.
You see,
Okay.
which is prophetic, the end of Esau's world.
Mhm.
Period. It's the end of Esau's world. You got it.
That's right. Okay. And that was really the point on that specific precept. So now we're going to continue. Okay. It says in verse 18, and it said, behold, the days come that I will draw nigh and to visit them that dwell on the earth. Okay, that's Esau, these other nations, these other heathen nations, their iniquities being remembered. Okay.
Mhm.
The Lord is gonna double, like it says in the following verse in Revelation 18, is gonna double unto her according to her works. Okay. Meaning all the shit that she did, all right, Babylon the Great and these other nations did, against Israel is gonna be twofold against them. They're gonna have to pay, okay, with interest. Okay, verse 19, and will begin to make inquisition of them. Okay, that's him pleading with the other nations, right? What they be that have hurt unjustly there with their unrighteousness, and with the affliction and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament. So here are the tokens right here. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. What's the books being opened before the firmament? The Lord is allowing the truth to go out of the history, all right, of starting with Esau, which is the devil, okay, and these other nations as well, what they've been doing, what they've done, what they're currently doing still to this day, okay, through the way of the internet. Okay, the Lord is allowing, this information, you know, because that's what he got them satellites up there in the firmament. So the Lord's using those things, okay, to unite, the men that are, serious about him and that seek for righteousness in the earth to be educated and see, okay, like this is really what's going on. Because when a book gets opened, that's knowledge, that's information. Okay. Like when you read about it's going to talk about in this book as well, to what to say, make 70 books, right? It talked about that and the end, the very end of I think it's like the last chapter of this book here, how Ezra was told to make a certain number of books, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, and only give certain number of books to those to the uninitiated, okay, and to go, to give the other rest, they can the masses can get it, you know, and so the books are being open, man. The information is being given now, okay. It says, and they shall see all together, okay, and so it says, and the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. Okay, this is talking about the last days of the last days. Okay, children of a year old speaking with their voices. Most children, most children, they don't learn to speak. Okay, until after a certain age. But if a 1 year old is having a conversation with you, you know, speaking, that's how you know we're in the last times. All right.
My parents tell me, yeah, my whole family will tell me that I was walking by 7 months and talking by 11.
Mm,
My first words was a complete sentence. You know what I'm saying? My mom and my auntie was in the kitchen talking about some pancakes. My auntie didn't want hers. You know what I'm saying? So me being a baby, picking up on that conversation, I said, "I eat it." All it, they tell me all this happened before I was one, walking and talking within a year. You know what I'm saying?
man,
So I'm damn near 50. So
man,
just based off me, we've been in the last days for a grip. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking as a man talking shit, but that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. The speeding up of everything is what you get out of that. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? Everything is speeding up. You see,
right,
which leads to the prophecy with Yahweh Shah saying, the days are gonna be sped up for the elect's sake. Okay,
that's right.
we in that transition. You see, you got it.
Con, it says the women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. You see, that's talking about premature births. Okay, and I did a search earlier. I'm gonna pull it up here. Um, earliest, what is it? Earliest baby ever born and survived. Okay. They got this port here. Hold on, let me see. Here we go. Yeah, I guess in Iowa. Okay. There's multiple what's the names on. This was July 20. This is from this year, but this is as everybody's talking about the same pretty much the same instance, right? It says Iowa baby born at 21 weeks is now the world's most premature baby. So 21, and look, look how fucking he was basically like, the size of less than the size of a hand, but he managed to survive, right? He was born they got pictures of it, but he's in the Guinness World Record for basically being the world's most premature baby, right?
And records are made to be broken.
Right. But it says 21 weeks. So, okay, so 21 weeks. How many months? Let me see. How many months in 21 weeks. Okay, 4 months, 4.8 months. Okay, so that's already going on, man. You know, that's already going on, thanks to this man's technology. Okay,
And that just
babies
lets you
are.
know. That lets you know how often it happens if it's a world record for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Well, I was looking this article up. Premature babies, right? Survival rates from babycenter.com, you know, and it was talking about how early can a baby be born, right? So as they said, it's rare for babies to be born before 22 weeks and survive, but we got a 21 week old that just was born and survived, right? And it says in a study of, oh, I'm sorry, I'll read it here. Even micro premature babies have a fighting chance thanks to technology and medical advances, which that's what they always continuously pushing. So that number is going to get down lower even more, you know. But it's already at 4 months already. Okay, you know, babies born at 23, at 22 weeks with a 28% survival rate, and babies born at 23 weeks have 55% survival rate. So, hey man, we
That's a lot of premature babies
yeah,
for them to have those type of numbers, which lets you know that we in that time.
yeah, exactly. We were right there, man. So it says that the women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. So that's what's going on. Back during the time this was written, that was unheard of.
Right.
you know, right? So it says, verse 22, and suddenly the sown places shall appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. That makes me think of supply chain. You look what happened with during the pandemic, how the supply chain was heavily affected. Even more recently, you had you know basically the Strait of Hormuz. There was a blockade or whatever was going on. There was a traffic jam in the Strait of Hormuz, and that was costing the world billions of dollars a day. So this whole system is very fragile, man. Okay, it says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. What's that sound? That siren sound. Okay, the sound of that siren, when you hear it, like you hear it, and you're like, oh shit. And they'll be like, this is just a test. And you're like, oh, okay, your blood pressure go back down, but it's gonna be a time where it ain't just a test no more. Like that movie Leave the World Behind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't gonna be this is a test. Nah, this is not a drill. This is real deal. This is the real deal, you know. And um, it says in verse 24, at that time, well, now I'm thinking about movies like The Purge and stuff, at
Mm-hmm.
that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Okay. Isaiah 19 goes into this, right? It says, and where it says the Egyptian shall be turned against the Egyptian, right? It
Yep.
says, kind of says, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Because really, even with like like springs and stuff, like natural water supply, that's really the one of the cleanest supplies of water that you can get, that's natural. you know but imagine that just gets stopped up, whether it's through contamination, drought, whatever the case is. Okay, without water, man, people are going to be in dire straits. Okay, That's
Man.
when disease starts to fester. You can't take a shower, you can't brush your teeth. You know what I'm saying? You know, women can't flush or tampon down the toilet. You know, so all the feces and you know everything gets gonna get backed up. So it's gonna go back to ancient. You know what I'm saying? Go back to ancient times. You know what I mean?
Man.
No, that the pride gonna go back. If the water, imagine the water get cut off for 3 days. Pride will go out the window so quick.
Oh hell yeah.
Then a woman all of a sudden she gonna need her man again. You know, motherfuckers gonna be, you know, trying to get back right. Okay. But that's when it says that time friends shall fight one against another, right? It says, whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape. Okay, so as much as all these different things going to be going on, the Lord's still going to have his remnant.
Yep.
Okay.
He said, my servants will eat. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying
Con.
we got examples of our forefathers in dire situations, water coming out of rocks, birds bringing them food. You know what I'm saying? Angel taking a prophet from one end of the spectrum to another just to feed another prophet. So we've seen these miracles. You know what I'm
Con.
saying? You got men that got the spirit on them to fast for 40 days. You know,
Con. Yep.
eating one meal before they go out on their trek and they good for a month.
Yep.
So we've seen these examples. We can read about them. You got it.
That's right. It says, uh, verse 25, whosoever from all these remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world.
You
Okay.
see that? So that salvation is going into Yahweh sending Yahweh Shai to deliver the elect, you see, and to destroy Esau. That's what this
Mm-hmm.
chapter is about, man. So you will see why vocab will say, well, it's not canon. I don't believe it. What if some do not believe? You
Mm-hmm.
see, just because you don't believe it don't mean it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
You got it.
That's it. It says, and that's talking about the elect, as you said, Zaquan, right? They're going to see the salvation of the Lord. And it says, and the end of your world. So the end of this, you know, physical, fleshly, carnal, mortal world. Okay. And verse 26 says, and the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. Okay, that's gonna that's talk. This is a direct correlation with First Corinthians 15.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, verses 50, you know, 51, 52. Right? It says, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. Okay, meaning we're gonna get those new bodies. Okay, we're gonna get the hearts of flesh instead of the hearts of stone. Okay, we're gonna get basically that incorruptible upgrade from Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, just like how Yahweh Shai received when he was resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so verse 27, and we'll stop in a few verses because this chapter is almost 60 verses long. But it says in verse, what is it, 27, for evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Okay. So basically the opposite of what you see today. Right now you see evil and deceit flourishing and faith being quenched and put out. Esau don't want you to have faith.
Right.
He wants you to be deceived. He wants you to be a demon. He wants you to be corrupted, right? But it's gonna be the you know, right side up. Like basically, right now it's upside down. It's gonna be right side up in the kingdom. Okay. It says, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Okay. You know, the apostles, you know, had multiple times where they were, you know, preaching and basically was like, it seemed like it was nothing gonna come of it. Okay, and then boom, all of a sudden, boom, Yahweh Shai, He brought forth, we'll say the awakening YouTube era. You know what I'm saying? And then you have waves of brothers coming in still to this day. Okay, so how much if the Lord is able to if the Lord is capable of performing something like that? Okay, how much more when it comes to the glorification of those that believe on Him, right? It may seem like it's been a long time coming, right? But it's gonna be eventually that day is gonna arrive, right? And so it says, verse 29, and when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood, because basically, Ezra, his head was probably down, you know what I'm saying? He was just taking it in, right? It says, in these words, said he unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. And this particular verse right here reminded me of what Yahweh Shai said. Uh, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. Okay. Um, and I'm gonna go ahead and get it. This is St. John 9:4. All right. It says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Okay. So that night, as it says here in Second Ezra, right? It says, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. Like basically that time of darkness, like Jacob's trouble, the time where we ain't gonna be having to go out and preach on the word, preach on the highways and byways because the doors the doors gonna be shut. Okay. And I'm gonna end it on verse 34, but it says verse 31, if thou wilt pray yet more and fast 7 days again, which shows you that the Lord, he loves that sacrifice, he loves that fast. We know when we fast, because Ezra was already on a 7-day fast already at this point of what we've been reading in chapter 6. And the angel of the Lord said, look, fast more, pray more, fast 7 days more, continue to cut off the flesh. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. It says, and I shall tell thee greater things by day um, than I have heard. Okay. I don't know if that's a typo, but let me see if it says anything different. Yeah, the greater things by day, okay, than I have heard. Okay, so the angel said, look, fast more, and you're gonna hear more. For thy voice is heard before the Most High. For the mighty hath seen thy righteous dealing. He hath seen also thy chastity. Okay, to be chaste. What did Paul say? I desire to present you a chaste virgin to Yahushua. Okay, somebody that's able to basically preserve herself from defilement.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the word hognos in the Greek.
Con. That's
Chase
right. Holy.
conversation. Well, hognos on the strophe is chase conversation. You
That's
see,
right.
you got it.
That's right. It says, he hath seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. Okay, that zeal, right? And the Lord, he sees our chastity as well. Okay, unless we're not being chaste, but
I will say
the
right now. I
elect,
will say right now, 2/3 of the 2/3 of Israel ain't chastity.
right? That's
They
right.
have no chastity. You know what I'm saying? They done figured out a way to take their chastity belt off and just,
Freak
you
meat,
know what I'm
freak
saying?
meat, 24-hour
Yeah,
freak meat.
yeah. Get out there 1 million times. Fuck, get out there one time.
Man, yeah. Outside is a
Yeah,
lifestyle.
man,
They ain't for the streets. The streets are for them.
man.
You know. And it says, verse 33, and therefore hath he sent me. So this lets you know it's an angel, right? Therefore hath he sent me to show thee all these things and to say unto thee, be of good comfort and fear not.
That's what I'm saying. So everything that I done showed you, Just know that as wild as it's gonna get, the Lord got you. You know what I'm saying? He see your chastity, the questions that you answering, the hell you catching, the truth that you seeking, all that matters to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we say about Yahweh Shai all the time. Yahweh Shai dealt with who was looking for him.
Yep.
You see? If you were seeking the Lord, you found him. We seeking the
That's right.
Lord. We found the Lord. He comes in the volume of the book, Apocrypha included. It's clear. It's clear.
That's right.
Apocrypha is included. You see? You got it.
Con. I was trying to see what it said in the GNT real quick. What was that here? Verse 34. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, this is second Ezra 6 and 33 again. And therefore hath he sent me to show thee all these things, and to say unto thee, be of good comfort and fear not. It says, and this will be the last verse, and hasten not with the times that are past to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the latter times. Okay, and I'll read that last verse 37, verse 34 in the GNT. It says, do not be so quick to raise useless questions in the present age. Then you will not be so quick to do so in the final age. Okay, because we're the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, man. So he was basically letting them know, like in the last days, all right, because the present at that time was what we're looking at now is we're looking back at that like 2,500 years ago, the past, but now we are in those latter times. So the same thing, the same spirit that Ezra was in back then, even more so now, whoever he is in the spirit, okay, and he's you know he's not raising useless questions, he's being wise, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's being wise, he's going back and looking and meditating on the things that were written aforetime. So we're going to split the lesson up, okay, and stop at verse 34, and then we'll pick it up at verse 35. Lord willing, in the next one, we write it an hour and some change. So that was all I had as far as precepts. I don't see anything on the comment board. Did you have any other points or anything, Zaquan?
Yeah. Hey, I can let these bug outs bug out, man. You know what I'm saying? We got the truth. We believe the truth. We not the ones changing everything up the closer we get to the end. You see? We're not those dudes. So let these bug outs bug out. What they say in Texas, they say you gotta let a hoe be a hoe.
Right.
It is what it is. Or said the Lord told you everything that you seeing right now. So hold fast, man. Don't give your crown away, man. These
That's
niggas
right.
giving their crown away because the Lord told them they was gonna give their crown away. They can't help themselves. But the Lord's keeping the spirit on us to endure to the end, man. So hey, keep fighting. Right? So with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. We want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the Akim teaching about the Mayam Wa Mop. That's the sincerity and truth. Shalom.
Shalom.